Hi, it's Lavana Ann. Welcome back. Today we're making some really cute, primitive, grungy sunflowers made from fabric. And I'm starting here showing you with this fabric I used is in Osnaburg muslin, and it is one of my favorite fabrics to work with. And I dyed it with coffee grunge. You can make a coffee grunge. I showed you a recipe in another video and it's just coffee, instant coffee, cinnamon, vanilla, and nutmeg, and it smells really, really nice. Now here you can see I added some acrylic craft paint. This one in particular was intended for fabrics, but you can use any kind of craft paint. I like the Apple Barrel brand. And I added this yellow mixed with the coffee grunge to get this really pretty dingy yellow that's almost like a mustard yellow once it dries. And I just put them out to dry in the sun, and you can see what they look like after they dry. The color does look different, but it's really, really nice. And if you want to, you can dye them several times. I like to save this paper from shipping boxes and use it for crafting, and I'm using it to make a template. But you can make it out of a piece of paper or whatever you want. You want to cut out several small circles. I would say these are about 4 inches in diameter, but you can make them any size you want. You can make really large ones or really small ones. I started out with the circles, sewed them together, and turn them right side out. So you'll have a little, sort of a little miniature pillow, like a pincushion. And you want to stuff it with a polyester fiber fill batting. I use polyfill and sew it shut. And then you want to take a needle and thread and go back and forth through the center to tack it down so it's nice and taut. And it'll take several times going through. The more you go through, the better, and then tie it off tight. And you want to choose your fabrics for the top of the sunflower as well as the leaves, or petals, I should say. Um, you can use cottons, a lot of different fabrics you could come up with. For the top, I did use this terry cloth fabric as well as the dyed muslin for the petals. Cut out your circles for the top of your flower and sew them to the donut through the center first. And you want to do this to make that indentation in the center so it looks realistic like a sunflower. And once you sew those on, I did the whole stack. You can make as many of these as you want if you wanted to make just a couple of them. And then you want to sew on your petals. And you can see I put a little bit of batting underneath before I sewed the petals on because the little donut is concaved on the underneath side, and it'll make it look more like a flower because these are actually meant to be like a bowl filler or to put in a tier tray or any kind of shelf styling, stuff like that. You could also put a stick in them, just glue it to the center somewhere if you wanted to. Now, take it from me, you want to cut 2 circles of petals per flower. I thought 1 circle would be enough because I was being stingy with my dyed fabric, but I had to go back and sew on a whole nother circle. You can see the difference of the one layer of petal versus two. And once you cut your circle, I traced it around and I ended up trimming it back more and more. But it's kind of good that way because you can kind of trim the petals more even around the flower in case you sew it a little bit crooked. Now, I dyed this terry cloth fabric with the coffee grunge and it smells really, really nice. And I really love that grunge coffee stain. However, it just wasn't feeling dark enough to really look sunflowery for me. So I once again mixed some coffee grunge with some acrylic craft paints, and I used a few different browns and blacks and painted the center and strung them together and put them back in the sun to dry. Now, this step is optional. You don't have to add tags, but it does give it that really cute prim look. And these are with a little rusty safety pin and jingle bell. And I made these tags. I'll leave links to my Etsy shops if you're interested in any of those things, and as well as any other products that I used. And that's it. They're so cute. I really actually like the way they turned out a lot. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video.